Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast. It's your host, Jaron Smith. I hope you all are doing pretty well. So this episode is not going to be as originally planned. The original plan for this episode was to be for me to talk about the NBA, but I had a pretty busy weekend. I had a pretty busy Friday and Saturday, so I could not watch NBA games as I originally planned. But the goal for, the near future is to be able to make that episode. So what am I going to talk about instead? Because the football week is not over yet because, the Chiefs and Commanders play in about 45 minutes. So what am I going to talk about? What I'm going to talk about is My Hero Academia, the anime. And I just watched the latest episode that came out this past Saturday. And so I had never really had a podcast episode where I'm like reviewing episode by episode, which I don't really think I'm going to do that exactly. The goal of this episode is to just kind of share some of my overall feelings while keeping it as vague as possible. And if I feel like I'm going to give a spoiler, I'm going to probably say spoiler quite a few times, and I will definitely put on, like my logo, aka the visual you all see in the background of this video / podcast episode, the timestamp on where you can go to skip past my spoiler. So first, I think it's important to say how I feel about My Hero Academia as a whole. I love it. It is one of my favorite animes. My favorite two animes of all time it's kind of a 1A, 1B situation. My Hero Academia, and then there's 1A and Naruto being 1B. The reason why My Hero Academia is my favorite anime is because I feel like all of the characters have, for the most part, have something very relatable about them. All of them. Yes, there's a few that definitely are less relatable than others, but for the most part, we'll say like the core group of, the characters that you meet are very relatable. Now, because I know some of my family members are listening to my podcast and they do not know what My Hero Academia is about. So I'm going to put this in terms where you guys will understand after. So the main character of My Hero Academia, his name is Izuku Midoriya, and he is basically born into a superhero society without a power. But then by chance, he is able to meet his idol, and he is basically able to live out his dreams due to the help of his idol. And so to compare this, I would say it's similar to how the X-Men works, but there's not yes, X-Men has hierarchy in terms of mutant abilities, and My Hero, the superpowers are called quirks, and that there's a hierarchy of, like superheroes and supervillains, so to speak. But I think the main character himself, he's just extremely relatable, and I relate to him on a personal level just because I feel like, throughout the entire show, not even just the final season, it's like all the odds are stacked against him, and yet he's still able to basically push past his limits to be able to get to where he wants to get to. Now, a lot of you know that I have a Plus Ultra tattoo, which I did some research on it. The Latin meaning of the tattoo is to go beyond. But in My Hero, it's, for the most part, it's kind of a school setting, and so every student in the class of the main character, because the main character, like when you're basically a high school freshman in the show, you're gonna go basically learn how, like, you're gonna go to this school and you're gonna learn how to use, your quirk, your superpower. Not everybody goes, but let's just say like some of the best go. And so I just think that, it's just so cool to be able to see somebody who stuff is not in your favor. It's not. But yet you're still able to make the most of it, and you're able to, all the people who were doubting him are, a lot of people doubted him, and then, basically he was able to be like, wow, yeah, like, look at me now, sort of thing. So I just love it because, I think of, like my career path, my goal in life is to be in the world of sports broadcasting. It would be cool to, be a play-by-play or color commentator for a football game as a career, being able to travel the country, if I got to see the Baltimore Ravens play, if I was, calling that game. It doesn't matter what NFL game I had a chance to call. Just doing that would be cool. Or being a sideline reporter. I still kind of, like, of course, I have my, like, preference in that just being, like, me in the booth. But I think that, I would be open to any role I can get within the sports world because I think it's important to stay open minded to the possibilities. So, as I was watching, let's like talking about My Hero again for a little bit, because how I was mentioning that there's a bunch of different characters in the same class as the main student because it's a classroom setting, and so the phrase plus ultra, yes, it has its own meaning, but in my opinion, it's kind of like each character uses the phrase differently, and so to me, um, the phrase plus ultra means to never give up, in which I think that, perseverance being one of my strengths throughout my entire life. I'm 24 years old, and I think I'm somebody who does not give up very easily. And so that is my reasoning for it, just because, I've had extremely long days. And, like I had a long Friday. It was not a bad Friday by any means. I had a really long Friday. I had a just as long Saturday. I was tired. But yeah, like when I look at my left shoulder, I realize that my plus ultra tattoo is, on my shoulder, and that just as a reminder to never give up. And so, if I was to talk about see like the final season as a whole, first, I'm gonna applaud the animation. The animation is just amazing, and I'd say probably one of the bigger thoughts I've had about this season is I can't wait until this season is, like fully translated in English, and so that it's, in the English dub, because I personally think that My Hero English dub is very, very good. Like, I think the best English dub of an anime is definitely Dragon Ball Z by far, and I would say My Hero is right up there with them in my opinion. Like, Dragon Ball Z is the clear cut like best. They have the best English voice actors, which I understand that for anime, a lot of voice actors are in a bunch of different anime. Like the character All Might in My Hero, he is the voice of like a third of Dragon Ball. He's the voice of Vegeta, Yamcha, Piccolo. That's just one specific example. But I just think that the final season, when it's in English, I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be incredible. And so, usually after My Hero episodes, I usually call and chat up with my brother for a little bit. And I think for a future episode, Cam, you definitely got to hop on with me and talk about, our feelings, which we'll treat that episode as like a, you know, if we're going to talk about some spoilers, we're going to, very so much mention them beforehand. Because again, this is my first time truly having a review, which I feel like I'm mixing all like my feelings about My Hero, my career path, and then like I'm not talking about the episode, but the reason why I'm not talking about the episode is I'm just trying to keep it vague while at the same time I'm trying to have it make sense. But I think looking at the episode that just happened, and I think that I have not I did not think season 8 would have played out this way. I thought certain things would happen to the point where like I thought maybe like the start of season I kind of thought that this would be like extremely sad from the get go, but it is not. It is not. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. I'm not a manga reader, and the thing is, I definitely will say for this video, I'm probably not going to respond to comments just because, like thinking back on like not even just anime. There's two movies in particular that would have came out and like literally crazy spoilers on TikTok. Number one being the Spider-Man with all of the Spider-Man actors, seeing scenes of that like same day, and then last year, like literally, I saw the Deadpool and Wolverine movie with my dad, like maybe about 2-ish, 3-ish weeks after it came out, and I kid you not, 20 minutes after seeing that movie, I was getting spoilers. And so, like even on TikTok for My Hero in season 6 specifically, there was a scene that like I got it spoiled, but I didn't have the context behind it, and so I was so sad because I'm like, man, this was the like biggest spoiler ever at the time. But luckily, I did not have the full context behind it. So I just think that like with my thought process behind the rest of season 8 and as a whole, because like I kind of knew that this is an anime that would not last forever. And here is going to be my first major spoiler where I'm referring to something specific. This is my first major spoiler. The other one, I feel like I did a decent job at keeping it vague. But again, first major spoiler, we're at about the 10-minute mark of this episode. like in the first few seasons, even in the My Hero Academia movies, you like this like Deku's voice actor, whether it be in English or in Japanese, was basically, kind of, I guess you could say, a little bit of a recap, and it's like, this is a story how I became the world's greatest hero. And so with this being the closing act, we can finally see, like, okay, like, what is it that made you the world's greatest hero? I have no idea personally just yet, even though that, like, I thought probably at about season 6, those were, like, to me, where he is basically at least in the top 5 for the greatest heroes in the My Hero Academia world. But I think very, very soon, if I was to give a prediction, um we're going to see as to, like, what makes him the world's greatest hero. Like, and the thing is, he is basically a high school freshman. He's a, what, 14, 15. I mean, if he's 16, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure it's probably been said in the anime just how old exactly the class 1A, the core group of students, are. I just know that, you know, they're not they're not 18 years old yet. That's what I can say for sure. And so this episode was not meant to be that long of an episode, just because, again, I'm just really shocked. Like, when I think of animes as a whole, where, like, as I'm watching them, where it's got me, like, talking in the middle of the episode, getting me hyped up and excited, this is definitely up there. In the past, I would have said the Tournament of Power and Dragon Ball Super. That was, had me like, bro, what? Like, this was crazy. I definitely think each week, like, I don't think I can. There's what, I literally just got done watching it, and so I've got literally my Crunchyroll account right in front of me. There has been 4 episodes in season 8 as of today. It is October 27th, 4 days until Halloween. There has been 4 episodes, and each of the 4 episodes, I feel like I don't like. I feel like I know where it's going to go, but then it just throws in, twist after twist, where, like, I'm just truly surprised. Like, I'm like, there's no way that this is gonna happen, and then, like, either A, it happens, or B, it's a completely different twist that I was not expecting. So, like, I definitely think that, like, this is an anime where, like, at least this season of My Hero, the final season, I have not been able to predict at all. And also, to mention another special thing of why My Hero Academia is special to my heart. So, My Hero Academia was the first anime movie I saw in theaters, which I saw the second movie with my older brother, Heroes Rising. So, basically, I was a senior in high school when seeing the movie, and, like, I was telling my brother, I'm like, look, bro, we really got to go see this movie. Like, I think it's going to be fire. And so we went, it was like 9 o'clock at night. I just know it was late. It was me, my brother, and I think 1 to 2 other people. And so, like, the other two, like, we're all, like, anime fans. Like, I remember seeing them wearing, like, their anime shirts. Like, they weren't in cosplay, but, all of us fans of the anime. And so, like, we're all spread out in the theaters, but, like, we're all kind of being loud because, the movie, is getting us all excited and everything. And so that is my favorite anime, like, we'll say shonen anime movie, because, like, there's another realm of anime movies with, like, Studio Ghibli and, like, other animated, stuff where, like, I feel like I should specify and say shonen anime, which, even if I didn't, I would still say My Hero Academia Heroes Rising is my favorite My Hero movie. If I had to say what I think is my second favorite, I would probably say the fourth My Hero movie, which also I have a thought where, like, after this season of My Hero, once we get the conclusion, will we be getting another My Hero Academia movie? I mean, like, I'm not sure if that's been confirmed. Like, I kind of want to say no, but at the same time, I kind of want to say yes, because I feel like you could probably make one more story from it, but at the same time, you probably wouldn't want to do that, because I wonder if that would take away from, the anime as a whole. Like, that's a part where I'm not going to dive too much into that, but I more so mean, I just wonder if they would have made another movie, my guess is it probably would have been made before the start of the final season. Now, I'm not opposed to another My Hero Academia movie. I am not at all. I think it would be great. I love the anime, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But if I had to rank them, I'd say Heroes Rising is my personal favorite. Um, the fourth one, Your Next, is probably my second favorite. My third favorite is probably the World Heroes Mission. And in that movie, specifically the beginning of that movie, um, Deku, which is another name for the main character, Bakugo, and Todoroki, they all had some cool freaking outfits in that movie. And like when I used to play the game Ultra Rumble a lot on like, PlayStation and posting on my YouTube channel, I was hoping that they would have added those outfits. But, I no longer play that game because it just, that game is just insane. That's another podcast episode. But none of the movies are bad, and so the first one being my least favorite, and like not even just because I just think the other movies are just that good. It's hard for to make the first movie like stack up and compare to the other ones. And like if I had to say if I had the experience of seeing all of them in theaters, I still think the second one would be my favorite. So for all of you My Hero Academia fans, reach out to me if you want to talk to me a little bit more about favorite episodes. And if anything, if I'm feeling brave, I definitely think I would check the comment section just because I think it would be interesting. And I know that these are vague thoughts for the most part. I don't have a lot of contextual thoughts. And if you all like this episode, let me know down below if you think I should be speaking more specific about the anime. And so that basically, because some content creators, YouTubers, will use Endgame, for example, like Avengers Endgame, where, they will post a spoiler-free review of Avengers Endgame, then they'll have an entirely different video or episode where they just talk about the specifics of the movie. And so for those of you who at the time would not have seen Endgame, you likely would have clicked on the spoiler-free review. And then for those of you who have, you're going to click on the spoiler version and, just kind of just dive into that world. So let me know if you think I should do something like this. And depending on what you all think, I will definitely, give it a shot and maybe, have certain people that I know like, the My Hero Academia anime to review and talk about episodes with me. We can definitely do that. But I just want to thank you all for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. See ya.